explain the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, how that rule's going to work with phase outs and all?
No tax on, I love the title of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, but it's not necessarily no tax, it's a deduction. So overtime, we just got a fact sheet, and the fact sheet came out July 14th. It was just updated the 28th of July with talking about some things of the interest on the automobile. So the no tax on overtime, if you pay somebody $20 an hour and then you get overtime of $10 an hour, that $10 is the overtime figure, okay? That's the overtime figure, is that premium that's placed on it. Some people would argue, but if you read the bill itself, it's pretty straightforward, and the IRS has come out with the fact sheet accordingly. And then on the tips is interesting, so we'll see what happens just so you know that you can't charge this year $1 and put the rest as a tip, because you're an SSTB, right? You're a specialized service trader business, so if you are an SSTB, which is a term brought about from 199A, you cannot be in that tip category. They're going to publish the tip category on October 3rd, which is 90 days from the date it was passed and signed July 4th, that they're going to talk about what is a standard industry. But think about it, Uber, things like that, the tips have to be separately stated. Goodness gracious, if you're in payroll, I'd run for the hills or continue. But the tips, the interesting part about the tips is it has to be voluntary. So if you have a group of 7 that go sit down and they normally charge you a 20% surcharge, that is no longer a qualified tip. So it'd be interesting to see how the restaurants handle that. So yeah, that's not a qualified tip. And another thing, if I may continue, is the tips have going to, you're talking, it has to be separately stated. So you have Uber and then I'll let somebody else handle there's the tip credit, right? The employee credit has been extended.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, if you know anything. So the tip credit, so if you pay, normally in the food industry, you get a tip credit, right? It's a credit for paying tips. So now that has been extended to massage parlors. I don't know how that works in California, but anyway, massage parlors.
Spas.
Sorry.
Just like saying that.
Backlash to the Navy. So they've expanded to nails, hair, spa, massages, things like that. So that is going to be incorporated. So there's a lot of new wonderful things in the one big Billy bill that we'll go into more tomorrow, but that is certain things. And married filing separate tax status, that's not going to be as popular under the new bill. I know. Wow. Yeah. So anyway,
I like that the extension on the credit for the tips, because having clients that own barbershops and spas and things like that, that's the one issue they had was, why do restaurants get it? And here's what I found it interesting that Congress went there. Why do restaurants get that credit? How does that credit work? When you think about the way the credit works only for the amount of money above minimum wage, right? Now, California pays minimum wage to tipped employees. Many states do not.
Correct.
They'll pay half minimum wage. So that first half of the tip, let's just say that for argument's sake, minimum wage is $7 an hour, and they're being paid $3.50 an hour, that first $3.50 of tips is not eligible for the credit. I don't have to worry about that because my restaurant clients are in California, so it's all eligible, as long as it's not added to the bill.
one thing I want to add about the tips, or going back to the tips, and this is something that you probably have a question and you don't know have the question. So you have somebody come in with inside of the tip industry and they want to have the deduction for the tips, but they've been cash tips and there's never been any Social Security withheld on them. Social Security and Medicare still has to be paid on those tips in order to be a qualified tip. So that's something where Form 4137, where most of you probably very rarely use, will come into play.
Well, you know, on your organizer, you have that questionnaire, and there's a question, did you receive $20 or more in tips? Mm-hmm. Which your clients always answer no.
Right.
Right? That is why that question is there, for that purpose. Let's keep this going, because it's, you know, that was a question about the FICA taxes, but how about the self-employed? masseuse, the self-employed stylist, hairstylist, how are they able to take advantage of this? Is there special rules for them to take advantage of this?
You guys want to take? No?
Is it special?
No,
We're counting on AJ here, but I can jump in too, but go ahead, AJ.
no, they have to be separately stated. So they have to account for them separately. How do you account for them separately? We're going to await guidance on that, but as long as it's separate. So you go in, we were talking, let's say you get a haircut and it's $25, but you give them $30.
Right.
Well, before that, $5 has never really been reported,
Right.
or separated. It just goes in as $30. Now they're going to have to separate that out. So we have to go out to our self-employed clients, Uber drivers or whatever. Uber drivers have already
Ubers
have
are
it on there.
separate.
But people normally that don't separate it, they just give you the $30. Now I have to say tips, but you have to also tell them, don't tell me the haircut's $5 and then the tip is the
25.
It's 25. Thanks for the math. But you have to separately state them. It just
So Alan, so AJ, what we will probably see come out related to Uber and Lyft is the statements that the drivers get are going to have to separately state out the
and it can
tips.
be in any form in 2000 next year in 2026 for the 2025. There's a transition that says anything will go, and then how is the overtime? And this is no matter who you've listened to, nobody knows the answer to this. They say, well, how does the overtime and tips going to be reflected on the W-2? We don't know that yet. A lot of people think it's going to be in box 14. Some people think it will be box 19. I didn't even know there was a box 19, but maybe there is. But I've heard a lot of different things, but we don't know yet. But we'll have to await that from the IRS or from the Treasury Department.
We're going to see some more lines on line 1 filled in. Line 1 on the 1040 will be 2 pages by the time this is done.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Because we're reporting all that
sure of it.
information on that W-2. But yes, it'll still be line 7 to me for wages. I don't care. I'm not going to change that.
And tips and overtime are going to be, this is another, I think, misconception of the one big beautiful bill. Tips and overtime are technically below the line, right? If you look at tips and overtime are now code section 224 and 225, and it's tied to the AGI. Anything's tied to the AGI, it has to sometimes, without specifically stating that has to be subtracted, has to be below the line because it's a calculation of AGI. So it's like 199A. So it's below the line. I think a lot of people say above the line, but again, we're finding this out as we go. Nobody knows 100%, and we're getting it figured out. So bring your questions for tomorrow, but yeah, that's some just cool stuff.
Well, it's a possible, and AJ, maybe you'll agree to this, it's a possible practice tip for our self-employed tipped individuals to report as a statement on the Schedule C. Now, we may eventually see another line on the Schedule C for tips. But maybe what I think I'll do this year for those individuals is show it under other income or show it as a statement, income, gross income, tip income.
Because it has to still
subject
pay
to
Social
the SC
Security tax
tax.
on it. It's got to be part of the income and then taken away.
And this way I'm showing it separate, and that's what the IRS is looking for, is to be seeing it separate. Now again, they've got a lot of information they need to get us. And it's not the first time they've been able to pull this off. So I've got to have faith.
Tax Talk Today, the tax show for the tax pro, is the innovative educational program presented in collaboration with the IRS, designed exclusively for today's tax practitioner.
There's various loss limitation rules we need to be aware of when we have a business activity.
Each program features in-depth panel discussions with key IRS executives and leading authorities from the tax practitioners community. Tax Talk Today features real-time interaction. Innovative and easy to use, Tax Talk Today is the only program that brings the IRS directly to you. Tax Talk Today can be viewed in large groups in the office or from the convenience of your home. To get continuing education credits for watching a program, purchase your CPE credits today. Tax Talk Today, the tax show for the tax pro.